I would like to welcome all the panelists, are very committed sustainable leaders in our sustainability in the hospitality industry post-COVID panel. So I would like to warm welcome our very senior sustainable leader, Mr. John Arnold, who is the director, Green Good Ecotech, and I would like to warm welcome Mr. Joe Barron also, who is the commercial director of Infinity Water System, very much engaged in many hotels. And I would like to welcome Mr. Wael Behi, who is the general manager in Tower Plaza Hotel and very much engaged in sustainability. So I'm sure that we will have a very engaged session because all the speakers are very committed with sustainability. So I would like to start actually the first question to our hotelier, Mr. Wael Behi, to ask him that how involved is the hospitality industry about sustainability. So I wanted to hear from you that how much engaged involvement is overall hospitality industry in sustainability. Wael.
Thank you so much, Iftikhar, and thanks to all the attendants. Well, sustainability is an important component of our industry nowadays. So for me, for example, I joined this hotel 3 months back. Okay, definitely I have a list of priorities together with my team to achieve. But looking at our performance, looking at our plans for the coming period, I would say part of the sustainability program, I would say the first thing important for us is to stabilize the team, because our industry turnover is very high, and unfortunately it's getting increased post-COVID. So the first area that I'm looking at is how we can engage more with our colleagues, with our associates, to reduce the recruitment cost, which is massive. Okay. The second area which we are actually looking at is the energy consumption. And honestly speaking, to my surprise, with my 20 years of experience in Dubai and in different hotels, when I look at the energy consumption of my hotel, which is a 400 rooms hotel, 65-story tower building, the energy consumption for last year, I'm taking the actual, represents 7.5% of the overall revenue. So I've seen in other hotels not less than 16 to 19% of the revenue. So this is a very promising figure, okay? So meaning that the cost is pretty much of the energy is pretty much manageable. However, we can do a lot. So unfortunately, at the early stage in the hotel, there was a lot of engagement, a lot of activities to be more sustainable, to save more on cost with the food waste management. So there is no proper process. We are in the plan now to put, and I can show you the document right in here. So we have an action plan, sustainability in hospitality. So we need our associate to understand why we need to be more sustainable, because we can save definitely, and we can as well contribute to our community and make sure that we are saving on energy, we are saving on food wastage. So basically, in the building itself, we have 400 plus rooms, plus another 100 offices, okay, for long-term lease. So the first decision which we have taken with the stakeholders is to activate the building management system. This project was pending for the past 3 years. Lucky that I am on board, and then together with the stakeholders, we have done this exercise. So this will help us to look at our energy consumption when it comes to water, when it comes to electricity, and the most impactful is the AC chillers. Okay, so from here we're gonna definitely challenge the performance of and the consumption of the energy. In the other side, we are in the process of putting a good culinary team on board, an executive chef who has enough experience to manage properly the food costs, and then to look as well at how we can reduce the food, what you call the recycling. okay? So to recycle properly the food. One decision we have taken as well recently before I joined, but definitely we're gonna continue with it, is we do the food for the staff. So we cook the food for the staff. We don't outsource this activity. You know very well that most of the hotels, be it in Dubai or in other Emirates, they outsource the staff food. So for us, our kitchen team, they're preparing the food for the staff, and it's better even for us because we have less complaint and we can act quickly when it comes to changing menus and stuff like that. So we are at the very beginning of the journey.
Sorry to interrupt you. Just wanna know. I mean, more like on a larger scale, especially like for example, when we are saying that as an hospitality, your involvement or the all as an industry, don't you think that there is a commercial objective? Like for example, when you are saving energy, when you have the cutting, this wastage. So, I mean, it always gives you edge on the profitability. So nowadays, when revenues will go down, of course, I mean, you have to reduce your expenses also. And your major expenses are actually, one is the payroll and the other is the utility. Yes. So in a hospitality industry, I think that it's a need also now, because you need to keep your staff with you, which is also a human sustainability. And on the other side, definitely you need to save the utility, which will be definitely helping you for bottom line. So these areas I think are very important for you and for me as an hospitality general managers. We need to look at this because commercial objective is there also. It's not only that one part is responsibility, but on the other side, it is commercial benefit, which really at the end giving us size that our profitability will increase. So do you agree on this point?
Big time. And I think so far from what I've seen, again, the credit goes to the management team and the ownership of my hotel. Because when you see, for example, the month of January and month of February, a net operating profit of 65%. So meaning that we are really managing our cost properly. However, there is a big contributor in this exercise. It is the average room rate. Definitely the average room rate in this part of Dubai is higher than other districts. So this helps us to have a higher revenue. And then when the revenue is higher, the ratio of the energy and the staff as well, payroll, definitely will go down. So the real exercise for us is ahead of us. For the coming summer season, which is next month onwards, I'm gonna start really experiencing how efficient we are. Small example, based on the first 2 months, our average total expense, including payroll, including OTA commissions, including energy consumption, is about 1.9 to 2 million. Okay, definitely the revenue somehow is crossing 6 million. So you can make a small math, and then you find out that the NOP is very healthy.
Wonderful.
For the coming period, the average room rate definitely will go lower. I mean, and I can see the rates in our area are really very competitive from next month onwards. Some hotels, they're already into the full summer rates from April, which definitely I'm against, because if this year we're going to offer the month of April with the summer rates, next year Ramadan is going to go to March, then the year after is going to go to February, then I'm going to end out with 10 or 11 months of summer rates, which doesn't make sense. So we are working on stabilizing our rate structure and our expense. Now the forecast for next month onwards, I'm waiting for my financial controller to come back from his short leave, that how we're going to reduce that 1.9 to 2 million to 1.5 to 1.6. So 300 to 400,000 has to be reduced. And it's a simple equation. From where are you going to reduce this? Your food cost is around 30%, so which is fine. For a 5-star hotel, you cannot go below because you need to produce a certain quality of food. So you're gonna reduce from the payroll. So you need to wash down and use the maximum the vacation, and then encourage what you call the unpaid leaves. You're gonna look at your energy, okay? So now, for example, behind me there is a whole building which is our parking building. Okay, the parking building, most of it is is an old lighting system with halogen lights. So we're gonna convert this into LED lights. So definitely I need a lot of support, and I need a workforce to work on that.
Super.
Help us reduce the electricity. We are doing some conversion of our units, reducing the number of suites to maximize the occupancy for the studio, because we have more demand, so we can sell more. We have the right room types availability. It will help us to increase our occupancy.
Very good. Well, I'll get back to you now, because I need to give a chance to
Yes.
and we'll get back to you also.
Thank
I'm not leaving you. I mean, I'll have another question, but then now I would like to come to Joe. A very important question. I know that you are very much engaged and you have a good solution. Water in the region poses a challenge. How does one get clean water to be in the recycled bottles? Or is there any way out? What solution technology is available? I know that you have a best solution or technology, and we want to hear from you, Joe. If you can just give us also that what you're doing in this case, and if you can just give us some input, on this big problem. Joe.
Thank you, Iftikhar. Appreciate it, and very nice to meet the fellow panelists as well. And very nice insight from Mr. Wael about his hotel, and very interesting point is his action plan. I think it's one of the most important things in terms of sustainability for hotels to begin that journey, is to have an action plan. But listen, just to introduce myself, obviously Infinity Water Systems, we've been operating globally for the last 15 years. We've been helping hotels and resorts and F&B outlets across the globe to mitigate, obviously, single-use plastics. So, and it's great to see now Dubai as well with the Dubai Can initiative, and that's helping accelerate the mindset and the culture of the hospitality industry, which is fantastic. But again, in Infinity Water, we've very much tried to simplify what we do, and basically we operate from a very simple certain step filtration and purification system, which is eliminating all the impurities and bacteria from the water. So you're getting a 99.99% purified water. And then what we've done then is package that with a reusable glass bottle. So it's a very simple process, Iftikhar. It's again, we try to convey this message to the hospitality industry. To take on a purification system is not that difficult, and it's something that we can make very easy for the hoteliers, because we come to the table with a package. So once we're in the planning stage, and as Mr. Wael, I'll use his example, we engage with decision makers in the hotel, and we understand what is their action plan. And then once we understand that, we can put together a system which is best suited for their needs in terms of what is their consumption or capacity in the hotel. Mm-hmm. And then we can come with a very feasible system. There's a little bit of a misconception on the market that something like this is disruptive, from an operating point of view, from a CapEx point of view, which is not really. Like I always say to people, it's the hoteliers, it costs not to have the system in place. Because at the moment your spend on single-use plastics is high, plus then you're having to remove the plastic bottles, then there's a removal charge, and there's a massive life cycle involved with the single-use plastic bottles. So we're mitigating all of these issues, and we're giving one simple system, and it's a system that can be installed in less than 1 day, and straight away hotels are are starting to enjoy savings on the OPEX on a monthly basis. So to just answer your question as well, it's not let's say rocket science. What we have is a very simple purification system. We can implement it very quickly, very easily, and at a very feasible price.
Wonderful. Joe, I fully agree with you, and I strongly endorse being a hotelier. Because I personally went actually to see one of the big resort in Dubai, where you have installed your system, and then believe you me, complete plastic bottles are out from the hotel. And then the municipality water, is being used in the hotel in a glass bottle, so no plastic. And the quality of water was really amazing. And I personally took actually financial controller with me, because normally they are big problem when you are going for capex. And believe you me, he truly enjoyed your sparkling water, and he become like a promoter of your product in our hotel. So very soon we are going to adopt your Infinity Water to avoid all the plastic bottles, which are millions and millions we are using here. And we will not be a part of this sin anymore. And we will definitely go and to install in our property, Joe. Keep it up, good work. I'm so happy, and I will be there to promote your product, because that is really a sustainability, which will not only give us actually the benefit in bottom line, but it's a responsibility also that we need to avoid this plastic. Thank you very much. But now I have to go to my mentor, my leader, Your Excellency, John Arnold. I am thankful to you, because the person who bring me actually into sustainability, because I remember that the first compost machine in the Middle East we installed in my hotel, maybe 13 years back. And that was really a good initiative. And once we installed this first compost machine, we had hundreds of other hotels, not only in Middle East, but all over the world. I mean, every time John was bringing, for the show around, people from Czech Republic, people, they were calling at that time from Israel to have like this Skype meeting. At that time, there was no Zoom. So John, thank you very much for your contribution towards, especially on curtailing food waste, bringing all this new solution. First machine was compost. The second one you brought, actually, that was a macerator machine. So I wanted to listen from you, so everyone can listen that how you are contributing actually in the Middle East and overall in globally, and what does that solution, which is helpful for the curtailing food waste, because food cost is a big problem in the hotels. So John.
Well, thank you, Iftikhar, for that nice introduction. Now I've got to honor all those nice words you have made. But I've been in the UAE now for 25 years. I came here for 1 year, and I brought with me from Australia in those early days packaging for the food industry. And I noticed that at that time there was the famous brands from around the world starting here, such as KFC and McDonald's and so forth. And the packaging that we were selling and marketing to these companies was being thrown into the landfill. And at that point, nobody seemed to worry too much about it. Well, as time rolled along, people became more concerned about waste, and food waste in particular, and also packaging waste, which includes plastics, all going to the landfill. Something had to change. So 10 years ago, I was sitting with my colleagues and I said, we've got to change the present system so that it becomes more sustainable. And as a result of that, we introduced compostable packaging systems. And as a result, I showed these compostable packaging systems to hotels and fast food outlets and quick service restaurants. They weren't interested. All they were interested in is the bottom line, the cheapest possible product they could get, so it didn't concern them at all. And it took several years of hard pressure and discussions to convince people that compostable packaging was the right way to go. And now, of course, it is the story of the world. In all countries now, governments and leading companies are advocating compostable packaging. But it doesn't finish there. Unless they understand composting, then the product that is a compostable packaging item for the food industry and the hotels finishes up in the landfill anyway. So the next thing 10 years ago was the introduction of composting machines. And as Mr. Iftikhar has mentioned, he was the first hotelier in the region to implement a composting machine at the hotel. Well, that caused a mild sensation. And of course, people from all over the UAE came to witness what was happening, including people from parts of the GCC. And a video was made of that and shown worldwide. And it's still being used as at today as an example of what can be done in a small hotel to convert the food waste into compost. Now, a bigger statement has just been released January of this year, and I think it's most important, that the government of California, it's a long way from UAE, of course, but 36 million people in California, the government announced as law into the state of California that all food waste, regardless, from industry, hotels, private, no matter what, had to be composted. Now that's a big statement and it's a big undertaking, but it's underway. And that was followed up by a number of other states in the United States to implement the same law, that all food waste had to be composted. Now, they didn't arrive at that decision in 5 minutes. It was a study that went on for a number of years. But certainly, it's encouragement that now governments around the world are looking at ways to reduce the waste that's going into the landfill and convert that into a compost, which can be used back into the soils to grow more products. And as we all know, the situation on sustainability on food supplies is very important because the land masses for growing agricultural goods around the world is shrinking. So we have to encourage as much of sustainability in the agricultural area by bringing high nutrient compost back into the soils to grow more crops. And I think that's where it's now gaining a lot of traction. Around the GCC at the moment, we've implemented about well over 1,000 composting machines. And most of those are going to high-profile, 5-star operations, from the governments to rulers to major hotels to companies that have oil and gas facilities. It's all starting to have a small impact, but it's still a long way to go. And in fact, you may be interested to hear in this conversation, we just only last week took an order for 2 composting machines from Uganda in Kampala. Mm-hmm. This is a big statement for a country like Uganda. Mm-hmm. 2 composting machines going to Mobil Oil in Uganda. They will compost all the food waste that's being created by their various workers at their labor camps, where they have quite a few hundreds of people working at different locations, and they're going to compost that food waste as a statement for the community and put that compost back into their soils to grow more crops. So that's where it's coming from, and it's moving very fast. In the last 6 months, I can say that there has been a greater awareness coming from all sections of the community and governments.
Wonderful. So, I mean, we appreciate, John, your efforts. But one more question which come in my mind, that individual level you are doing a lot of efforts, and I witnessed by myself that how many people you brought for a show around to show them the machine, because this is your passion, which you're doing. Same goes to Joe. He's coming, meeting with so many general managers of the hotel, chief engineers, to convince them, and then the food and beverage, that they should adopt actually and not to use the plastic bottles. But questions come, that this is the individual effort with all the passionate, sustainable leaders who are in this business also, but they're doing with passion. What is the role of government? Don't you think that the governments are not doing really that much to come and impose penalties, or maybe there should be a joint venture between the private and the government, where both of them can work together? So where do you think that what actions are taken by the governments?
Absolutely essential to have the government lead, and they have to be aware by raising the rates for food waste and other organic waste that are going into the landfill. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing. And it's happening here in the UAE, and also particularly in Dubai, where new rates have been announced for landfill. And that is already spurring encouragement from companies across the whole of the UAE to look seriously at the waste component that they've been generating, because it's going to cost them more money to dump it in the landfill. And they're saying, hey, there has to be a better way. And certainly governments have to lead. There's no question about that.
That's good, nice to hear this, because these are really the actions which we require from the governments. And same question I'll just ask Joe, that what is your opinion? I mean, are you agree with us?
100%, 100%. And in fact, I've been through an experience about 8 years ago in the UAE, where, for example, the company I was working for at the time, we were implementing solar thermal units for residential villas. And there was an initiative by one of the municipalities that all new builds had to have a solar thermal system. And it was critical in getting, let's say, the culture change. And what you had then is you had a lot of architects engaging, you have a lot of designers. So it's the same thing in terms of this, in terms of, for example, single-use bottles. Like, for example, before Dukan was announced, we were on a path, we were on a journey, we were joining hotels with their sustainability drive. And yes, there was a cost saving in it, and fantastic. Like, for example, one hotel in particular, we managed to mitigate over 800,000 single-use plastics per year in one hotel alone. But you find that the top resorts, the 5-star, 6-star, or 7-star resorts, will be full on. They will have their initiatives, they will have plans in place. But what about the mid-range and the low-range hotels that might struggle a bit in terms of the mindset, getting into that frame of mind where we have to change? Because ultimately, we will have to change. We can't keep going the way we're going with single-use plastics. We have to get rid of them from hotels. And it's a stepping stone. Like, Infinity Water is a very small part of the bigger picture here. But it takes everybody to kind of join in on that journey. And the number one key player is from a government level. If it's there, it's implemented, there's directives, you have publications, you have then the marketing spin on it, which is fantastic to see around the UAE. But it's all driven from the top. It's from the top down. If you cannot depend on it from the bottom up, because people are used to doing what they're doing, they feel comfortable, they mightn't fully understand the benefits of going into the sustainability journey. So to answer your question, yes, 100% agree. It has to come from the government, it has to come from the top.
And I think that we must appreciate, in the initiative taken by the UAE government, that is always supportive, so I hope that the other governments should follow also the same way. My next question is to our sustainable hotelier, Wael al-Behi. That personally, I have witnessed that the green certifications always give us a checklist where we know that where to go, how to do. So what do you think, like, the green certifications can be helpful to change a normal hotelier into sustainable hotelier, or the hotels to convert into green hotels? What can be benefit which hotels can take to start journey with any green certification which is approved or authorized?
Thank you. Well, I don't know if you noticed, I'm taking a lot of notes on my paper in here. And one of the notes I took, green key certification or green certification. So I want to make a link of what I've been hearing so far, which is really, really interesting. And you guys, you are pioneers. And I'm so happy to join you on this discussion. First initiative, for example, I have taken, recently, to convert the hotel into non-smoking environment. So I want smoking-free environment hotel, okay? So we have, I think, out of 65 story floors, we have about 10 or 15 smoking floors. So we decided, we have a deadline now by end of this month, most probably beginning of next month of April. Then we're going to convert the hotel into smoking-free environment to purify a little bit the air that we are breathing inside of this hotel, okay? Back to your question, Ifti. Generally, as we want to involve the government, from my understood, because everyone has his own perception of the word sustainability. Some, when you say word sustainability, they will think about the high staff turnover. Some, they will think about the energy. Some, they will think about the food wastage and the landfill. Some, they will think about all of them together. So I think the government, it's our as well task, leaders like you guys, to simplify the perception of sustainability for the government, okay? So simplifying, what I mean by simplifying, meaning setting realistic parameters Okay, so the government bodies, they can understand from where to start, because some of them, they will feel that, oh, it's a straightforward capex on the table, which is going to cost me. It might cost you today, but in future you're going to benefit of that return of the initial investment. So definitely I mean, a green key or a green what you call the certification and the process which you need to go through is very important. So at least you define what needs to be achieved. So for example, I would love to ask Mr. John and Mr. Joe to come to my property and help me to do an assessment. And Joe, for example, for the water purification, what needs to be done in a realistic way, in a time-bound way. And then John, the same thing. Okay, my food wastage for a city hotel without serving alcohol, so we are dry hotel. So mainly the breakfast and a little bit of dinner is different from all-inclusive hotel resort. You got me? So we need to adapt the philosophy and the parameters of the sustainability in the properties. And then, by the way, a dry hotel in Dubai or a dry hotel in London, the approach is the same. Okay, so an all-inclusive hotel in Dubai or an all-inclusive hotel in Zanzibar, it's definitely the same approach, the same tactics. Okay, so somehow it's very, very important to start step by step. Okay, and then loudly to say that we are not 100% expert. We're missing some areas. We need to talk to the right people like you and ask you please to join us, do a survey. I'm very much engaged and involved because you see, Iftikhar is inspired from John, and I know John as well through Iftikhar. So now I'm inspired from Iftikhar, and Iftikhar is linked to John. So you see, and if I may ask you a question, John, with this legacy behind you, do you have in your family someone to carry forward, or some close people like Iftikhar, for example, to carry forward this legacy? The same thing for you, Joe, because
I'm not that old. I will have many years.
Well, we're a big team.
Yeah,
we're a big team.
Yes.
It's just not me.
Wonderful.
There's a lot of people behind me.
Wonderful.
You know, I mean, all of us, we are the soldiers on the road with who learn from John. And I know it's not only me one. There are many, and it's not only one destination. You name it, all the destination, and that's why I said that he is really legend. And I personally learned a lot, not only composting. Whenever I have really any challenge in sustainability, I mean, he always come, and it's not like really a product selling. I mean, the way he gives solution, sometimes it is like a better than compost machine. And he took me to Ras Al Khaimah to show something different, bringing someone who has a macerator machine. So we need such leader who can come forward actually to take as a responsibility, not only commercial side. Commercial is to bring people, like for example, first time when they bring me into this sustainability, it was not responsibility, it was purely commercial objective to bring profitability. Absolutely. But once I came over there, then from there onward,
it became a passion.
To responsibility. So it's a first step. That's why I said that green certifications are really very important, Wael.
Yes.
The reason, because it's a checklist. Like I came in a new property, so to more people, to teach them also, to bring them on really on our level, we have to have a guidelines. And this green certification was really very good. So I got green certification in my hotel, and before getting the green certification, there was a process, So all the departments, they work together because they have to complete the documentation. They have to complete like physically thing to set also. There was audit also where Cheryl was there. Leah was there. They went over there to do a self-assessment, and finally, before coming the audit, we were there. So that's why I think that green certification. It's not only that we need to promote only one. All the approved green certifications are really very important to start with.
Yes.
You can start small things, and then finally you will become really a leader in sustainability. But I would like to say thank you to all of you for sparing time in this very responsible panel discussion. Thank you, Joe, and then John and Wael for sparing time. And we will continue this session, and we will involve more people because we don't want to remain only in this club. We need to get actually more people to join us, and then we'll move forward from here onward. But thank you very much for participation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, guys.
Thank you, Iftikhar. Thank
Thank
you.
you.